Alright, let's talk about our Bajoran Faction store, because it got some changes today. And the changes weren't exactly all rolled out at the same time, which really confused the hell out of some people this morning. So the first thing they did was the in-game fix, which was they changed the Dominion hostiles that can be found over here in this deep purple space. They changed the loot that these guys dropped. They cut it, they reduced it by 90%. So they're only giving out 10% of the amount they were giving out yesterday. The faction store also got changed to lower the cost of converting by the same ratio. However, this required an in-game update for people to download to see the changes. So if you just went out and killed stuff, you only got 10% of the loot, but then you'd come over here and still see that you still had to pay the same amount for what it actually would be. And then you found out, a few minutes later, hey, there's a patch update. You have to go download it, and then you'd see it. If you had a surplus, you're going to be okay for a little while. You've got a nice little stockpile. I, unfortunately, like many players, didn't have a big surplus. I think my 3-box turn-in is 237,000 a day. I think I had about 275,000. So I had about 40K extra. And I did my turn-in. I did not do a turn-in this morning. That's what, yeah. So I hadn't done the reduced amount normally. So I hadn't stockpiled. Is really what I'm trying to say here. So I only had like 40K this morning when I logged in because I didn't have time to go hostile hunting over the weekend. Wow, that took me a while to get that out. So when I logged in this morning, I'm like, all right, I got 40K. What do I need? I only need 23.7 now. Okay, great. Let's cash that in and be done with it. But some people I know, Bel Air talking to me has 300,000 in storage. So you're probably going to be good for a week or two. You won't have to kill anything. You'll be able to just get your hostile exchange boxes and without having to go out and kill stuff. Should save you a lot of time on the grinding. The reason for this change, you wonder, like, why did they cut both halves, right? It's not really saving a lot of people time. It's saving the higher level players time because their boxes, their 3-box pulls, were required. Like, I'm level 46, mine was 237,000. I don't have a ship that has 237,000 cargo capacity, so I got to make 2 trips. Even if I don't take enough damage, like, I'm not getting blown up when I'm full. I still have hull health left. I'm coming back, I'm repairing, I'm going back out. So they changed that and scaled everything down so that people wouldn't have to make multiple trips. Especially the higher level players were having to make 3 and 4 trips because their box pulls were a ridiculously high amount based on their ops levels. So everything got scaled down because of that. That's a kind of a win for everybody in some small way because hopefully everybody should be able to do it now in just 1 trip. You won't have to fly back and forth as much. And, depending on where you're located, it could be 3, 4, 6 minutes each way to Bajoran space. The other thing that they added today were these auto defense shards for the Tier 3 and Tier 4 faction miners. Just these 6. These are available at Pa Strong, which is like the 4th or 5th rep level. Guerrilla, Militia, Favored, Pa Strong. Looking at the chart, you'll need about 50,000 Bajoran reputation to reach that ranking point. So it's going to be a little while before most of us get there. And then you can start buying these things. You need 120 shards to unlock. Don't know exactly what the cost is. They add a really cool bonus to your ship, but it requires these orb splinters, which you also have to buy to activate it. So it's kind of like an exocomp, kind of like cloaking, where it gives a cool buff to your ship, but only for a limited amount of time. We can go look at what the actual buff is in the refit area. So we've got this new tab here for ship abilities, and you can see the 6 ships. We just click on one. Bam, what does this thing do? When a player attacks you on a mining node, all of your officer abilities stop working. You get a huge bonus. This is minus 100% to captain's maneuver officer abilities. So they basically all just stop working. Then you get plus 5,000 base damage, 3 extra shots for the whole combat. That's per round. And you delay enemy weapon fire for 8 rounds. So for the first 8 rounds of combat, what does the opponent do for the first 8 rounds of combat? Oh yeah, that honor guard Worf guy, right? Doesn't he get a huge bonus to crit chance for 8 rounds? Oh, what is Harris? Yeah, Harrison works for the first round. Yeah, nope. Yep, they're skipping those first 8 rounds. So they're going to come into the fight in round 9, at which point in time they have been shot. Well, these things normally shoot once a round, I think. Let's go take a look. This feels like weird still. So if we look at a covert, pretty sure the firing pattern on this thing is just 1 shot a round, right? Yeah, 1 shot a round. So now it's shooting 4 times per round. And if you're looking at its base damage, DPR was kind of low, right? 15,000. That's like, maybe a Kumari or something like that might have a DPR of about 15,000. Probably actually the Kumari might be higher. So that's relatively a low damage per round. Now you pump that up 5,000. You give them 4 shots a round, and you give them 8 rounds of not getting shot back. That's 32 shots you're hitting the opponent with before they even get to fire back at you. Chances are it's going to mess some people up. They might be dead before this 8 rounds finishes, or you might have done enough damage to them that even when this wears off and they can start shooting back, you're far enough ahead that they've taken a big punch. Should certainly help against 3-star and 4-star ships. I mean, if it's a 5-star ship and you're still, they're still punching down pretty far to you, that level 53 Northcut, probably not going to get through the shields in those first 8 rounds with the millions of shield health that thing has. But if somebody's, comes flying around with like an Enterprise or a Kelvin or something like that, they're going to get messed up. But, as I mentioned, there's a cost. You have to, in order to activate it, you'll see this little ability right here. You could activate it once you get the refit, and it will tell you what the cost is. I don't know the exact cost right now. I don't know if they've released that cost but it will take these orb splinters. It's got a cost, you're getting 250 of them in a bundle. Don't know what it actually costs to activate them. I'm assuming it's going to be different for the tier 3 and the tier 4 ships. Much like cloaking is different as your ships advance in level. Or tier, rather. Like a Legionary only costs 25 to cloak, but a Bortas costs 30, and a Burrell costs 35, and an Augur costs 40. It scales up similar to that. I'm assuming these are going to have a cost, and these are going to have a higher cost. And then eventually maybe the G5 ones might get added here or something like that someday and have a higher cost than that. But this is going to be something else you're going to have to grind, something you're going to have to activate, only going to work for a limited amount of time, and don't know if it's like a one-shot deal like cloaking, right? You can stay cloaked for a while, but once you shoot somebody, now it wears off. Don't know if this will have the same effect or if it'll just last for a fixed period of time, like the Cerritos buff or the Mantis debuff. Well, the Cerritos buff is probably a better analogy there, because that lasts for a fixed period of time and you can fight in multiple combats. The Mantis also works that way too, but if you get destroyed, that kind of goes away. So that's what they just added today. A lot of us were very confused this morning trying to figure out what was going on. A lot of people were still mad because the game was taken down. It was put into maintenance mode for about, they said 3 hours. It was really only about an hour. And we logged back in and still saw a lot of the same things that were wrong. A lot of hostiles were still stuck in the systems. A lot of other little glitches were still happening. And we were like, well, what did they do in the maintenance other than change the loot on these stupid Dominion hostiles? And then slowly but surely we kind of found out why. So those are the updates. Curious to know what your guys' thoughts are on those and what kind of comments and feedback you've got. And good evening to Norwich as well. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming in tonight. You're happy Scopely is looking for the higher level players and making things easier for them? Well, that's for sure. Oh, that was one other change they did make today. Yep. The Alliance Starbase Management. So anybody can now go in and claim stuff for your Alliance Starbase. This thing always takes a while to load up. So these little redemptions here, like anybody can click these little buttons now and claim this stuff. Anybody operative or higher can do this. So only Commodores and above can actually like build stuff, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe Commodores and above can move the Starbase into what it's working on, but anybody operative or above can use speed ups, can activate, pick things to actually do stuff with. I don't know what that's doing. I'm going to stop hitting those buttons. Since the update, the harvesters don't seem to be working correctly. That's probably accurate. Every time they fix something, something else typically gets broken, right? You close a door and a window opens, or you open a window and a door closes, that kind of thing. So, certainly takes a little while to shake out some of the bugs and stuff. GP says they broke your Starbase. It wouldn't be surprising. Can I show you where to see Bajoran ranks and perks? There was... Ripper's got a list. I'm pretty sure there's a faction list on the old website. Maybe not. Events, missions, there's a syndicate one. There's a syndicate chart. There's not a Bajoran chart. So it's just for syndicate. So it's got to be on Discord somewhere. Let me go take a peek and see if I can at least see what the levels are. Let's see if we can find this. All right. Where is my snipping tool? And let's see what we can do to make that a little bit bigger. So here's the different ranks of what reputation you need. Most of us, if you've unlocked the store, you're here at Tolerated at this 300 and you're kind of working your way up. You get to 2,000 and you turn into a gorilla. Not that kind of gorilla. The other kind. Then we go militia, then favored up to 50,000, and then here at 50,000 to 150 is where you're in this PA strong metric rank level. So you got to get 50,000 points in order to get here. I do want to save this so I can refer back to it later. This will be Bajoran rep ranks. So there's that one. And then in terms of what's available at each level, that you're kind of just looking in the store. You can see they all have what's available. In terms of cost and things like that, don't really know what these are going to cost. And the cost may vary based on your ops level. So that would be a little hard to compute. Because you can see, obviously, like right here, my chest is 1.2 million almost. I'm sure yours is probably, you know, in the 700,000 or 600,000 or so, probably about, you know, if you're in the high 30s, low 40s, and then as you start creeping up, it gets a little higher and higher. So, fact, you're getting tired of that. When that happens, divorces follow. Yeah, I saw a number of people posting today that this unannounced maintenance, you know, and then the glitches not being fixed, that a handful of them were just like, screw this, I'm out. I've had enough of this game. You take the servers offline so we can't play, and then you don't even fix the things that are broken, and you don't even tell us about it when you do it. There are a couple of other little UI updates. You may have just noticed that one right there. So there's a button on the screen now. I don't have to hit this and then click the ship. If I click the ship, it shows it. Also, if I scan it, you'll see this little icon right there. It may have always been there. But the other one that I noticed was when I was grinding with my Mantis and I went to the manage screen, all of the buffs that I had active were right here on